All through the nation, hundreds of thousands of men, maybe more, are opting out of relationships with women, even giving up, quote, dangerous and addictive sex and, quote, going monk to avoid contact with them. These disgruntled guys, united in their hatred of the opposite sex, are known as MGTOW, men going their own way, and there are quite a lot of them from all over the world lurking in the loneliest corners of the internet. Members of MGTOW communicate almost entirely online. Popular channels like Manhood, The Wall, and Manosphere believe that women are essentially impossible to deal with and share viral clips from social media sites such as TikTok of women complaining about their relationships, singleness, or being childless. Ironically, in this movement, sex is off the cards, relationships are banned, marriage is the ultimate no-no, and if you reach the top level of the MGTOW hierarchy, you're expected to quit your job and move off grid so you don't even have to look at a woman. Ask these men why, and they'll tell you it's because women can't be trusted, they're manipulative, they'll suck the joy out of your life and rinse you for every penny you have in the process. Browse their men-only forums and you'll also read the argument that society has become stacked in women's favor, with unequal divorce settlements and false rape accusations cited as proof that fellas are being screwed over. It all sounds like a bit of a joke to some, but tens of thousands of very serious men were subscribed to the anonymous MGTOW message board on Reddit until it was banned for hate speech, while thousands more belong to similar forums elsewhere on the web. Virginity was a common topic on the Reddit, and many said that they have proudly chosen to never have sex, describing their devotion to celibacy as going monk. A deep fear of false rape accusations is one of the driving forces behind this, while other men are wary of women using sex as a way to get to their wallets. I Wanna Die a Virgin wrote one unnamed poster, saying that the Me Too movement has made sex too risky to be worthwhile. Nothing wrong with not having sex, another man replies. It's addicting and potentially dangerous. I would much rather be a virgin my whole life than be a slave, another agrees, but bizarrely, others see no problem with paying for sex. Most prostitutes are honest women, and most women are dishonest prostitutes, as one man puts it, and many more say a combination of prostitution and sex dolls has allowed them to end all other relationships with women. The first step in this movement involves swallowing the red pill, terminology from sci-fi classic The Matrix, which means understanding how things really are. As you work your way up through levels, you gradually scale back contact with women until you reach the final stage, the extreme point when you up sticks and leave the matriarchy behind by moving to a cabin in the woods. It's not a movement in a conventional sense, bound by an official member list, but many that subscribe to its school of thought use the MGTOW logo. There is no MGTOW movement, one unnamed forum user told The Sun when they reported on this back in 2018. There are individuals realizing that the deck is stacked against those that chose to try to engage in traditional relationships and are opting out. Another explains, we're just a bunch of men who've decided to live our lives alone peacefully without outside interference or validation. A YouTuber called LFA said in a video with 250,000 views, "You're running backwards if you chase after a woman. Hopefully you're so focused on your money that you aren't even paying attention to women." The MGTOW banner is broad and it has some overlap with online communities and their rejection of feminism and gender equality, but while you think that MGTOW and men's rights activists MRAs would have a lot in common, the two groups frequently clash online. They both despise feminism, but where MRAs want to change the law to get rid of the perceived imbalance against men, MGTOW wants to remove themselves from society entirely. MGTOW are also distinctly different from incels, involuntary celibates, the group which the Toronto van attacker belonged to. Both groups revolve around celibacy, but this is supposedly a conscious choice for MGTOW, while incels want to have sex but are just constantly rejected. A trend you will notice with most of these influencers and communities is that the men tend to be middle-aged or older. They are generally divorced or have been in very toxic relationships that took a huge toll on their mental health and well-being. They have often become extremely disgruntled with women, enough to give up on them entirely. This is understandable in my eyes. I can imagine after being in a relationship for 10, 20, or 30 years and having your money, kids, house, happiness stripped away from you in a very messy separation, it would be unimaginably damaging. I understand why older men take this path, and although most choose to recover or move on, I can respect their decisions. The problem here is that this content has made a marginal impact on younger men who have not had the chance to experience the potential positives involved in having a loving relationship either. These guys are often fatherless and lack the patience and or motivation to throw themselves into the dating pool. To be clear, I'm not some happily married guy with a loving wife and kids at home. I've been in many failed relationships and had quite a few flings in my 30-odd years of life. I'm recently single, have no kids that I know of, and often spend my free time sitting here writing articles or posting videos online. But I don't blame all women for this. The reality is that I have made many poor choices in my life regarding women and myself. I battled substance addiction for years, weed, nicotine, alcohol, cocaine, and Xanax, and I embedded myself into toxic relationships. In fact, I never even knew what a healthy relationship was like until I experienced it for the first time. Unfortunately, my lack of understanding and toxic behavior led to its demise. The only smart decision I made was not becoming a salty father who ended up on child support because I surely was never responsible or stable enough to care for a child. Do I regret my experiences? Not really. I had a lot of fun with women over the years and it truly made life worth living. What I regret is that I didn't realize what it takes to have a fulfilling and stable relationship earlier. I regret not taking my health and fitness seriously. I regret being so selfish and narcissistic that I had no patience to deal with problems of the other sex. And I wish I had a responsible male influencer when I was young to show me all of this. One of the cons of growing up with a single mother and non-existent or useless father. I think instead of telling young boys that women are simply not worth it, we need to teach young men and women what is needed to have a healthy relationship and to appreciate each other. Because the world is a cruel place, and trying to survive in it alone beats you down over time. It makes you angry at everyone and everything. It makes you feel hopeless and narcissistic. More than ever, we need men and women uniting together against the evils and elites which have made the world this way. The men versus women dynamic is no better than the culture or race wars dynamic. It's all a ploy to keep the normies at odds with each other while the ones at the top prosper. Billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos aren't following the manosphere. Musk is on kid number 14 with one of his many surrogates, and Bezos is traveling the world in one of his many mansion-sized yachts with his new trophy wife at the age of 61. I agree that the dating market has changed drastically, and that it's much harder for most men to find a good partner than women, simply because of the available options. We get 50 likes on Tinder while they get 500. I'm also not arguing that the legal system has historically been more forgiving to women or the statistical facts regarding marriage. Research shows that around 40 to 50% of all first marriages end in divorce. And yeah, around 70% of those marriages are initiated by women. I'm not saying that men have to get married if they feel that it's too risky, but giving up on a woman completely is nonsensical. Despite all of these semi-viral videos online about the poor choices women make in regards to dating, remember that there are countless other women who do not make those same mistakes, and it's highly likely with enough effort that you'll find one of them eventually. When you do, don't take it for granted. I'm also not saying that men need to have kids. The world population is over 8 billion. Humanity is not going extinct anytime soon. The economy is shit, partisan politics are tearing us apart, but don't let the narcissism stop you from enjoying something that we have been programmed to do for hundreds of thousands of years, which is finding a mate. You're just going to end up lonely and miserable. Focus on your health, stay in shape, build communication skills, at the very least try to be able to support yourself financially, although that's not even a requirement for many women, and be an enjoyable person to be around. No need to be a nice guy or a simp, but be a good guy. Be realistic as well, guys. If you're 5'8", 200 pounds, a chain smoker or drinker, playing video games all day, and unemployed while living with your mom, what in the world makes you think that you can get an Instagram model? You can get the nerdy chubby girl who also lives with her family though. Maybe you can even bag an older woman who is better looking and has her own place, although it's not a route I would recommend long term. What, you think you can get better? Well, the reality is that you can't. At least not until you improve yourself. The red pill influencers are right about one thing. People generally get together who have the same level of attractiveness. A very small percentage of men are lucky enough to dodge this fact, but the majority who manage to skirt around it are just rich. Most importantly, don't give up. If you're ready to give it all up and have nothing left to lose, then a rejection is also nothing to lose. Even a one-night stand is better than no stand at all. Understand this at a young enough age and you likely won't end up as one of these bitter older men on social media.